All right, girls. So today we wanted to do a little bit of just sort of a brief review of the Transformation Challenge. In case people want to run that. We ran ours for the first time last January and had some learning curve moments. We wanted to share with you the process that we used. So in the group today, I shared copies of all of the paperwork that we used. This program, the first time I launched it, I sent out an email and really did not get any feedback. It wasn't until we sort of had a brainstorming session with Raven and Jenna, and we sort of revisited it and leveled it up. So what you see, in the group in those forums are what we rolled out basically. So making it a little bit of a challenge helped. Having a basket of gift, idea goodies helped.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, this is what we used. It was as soon as I hired Raven, we launched this challenge, and I basically just threw her into the water and said, run this program. And she did. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we technically rolled it out, and then she's going to talk about what it looked like from the therapist perspective. And then we are revisiting it now because we are going to level it up again for the next year. So the first thing we did was through both a social media post and my CRM put out a message that basically said we're looking for 5 people who are ready to work on their health and fitness goals for the new year, and message back stronger. And there was a kind of a series of a couple of emails that worked on that relationship. You asked them for some goals kind of thing, and then it ultimately led to a phone conversation where we sort of explained what was going to happen, and then they came in for I think he called it a stork session. We just called it like a discovery session, where I did the first one, Raven did the second one, and the ladies, that by the time they came into the office, they opted in. So we had built the relationship and explained it enough that by the time they came in for that consultation, they ended up leaving and signing up for the program. So I think I'll let Raven take over.
Yeah. So we also did have, if I recall back, I think there was 2 additional individuals who had expressed a pretty significant interest, but we didn't even end up having them in for a discovery session because your phone calls and Jenna's phone calls did a really good job of vetting them, basically to where I can't remember off of the top of my head who it was, but before they even came in was like, you know what, I don't think I'm ready to commit at this time. So they definitely knew well in advance what it was that they were getting themselves into. So that was super helpful and made my job really easy. When I did the second transformation challenger, I really didn't even have to explain. Honestly, that session we got right into pretty much taking measurements and everything. So the information up front was very, very helpful. But what basically it was structured as this past year was a 12-week program. And it was one time, so meeting with myself 1 time a week, which really is, I think, the bare minimum. That the 2 people that I had that signed on, they were so much more accountable to, coming in, because it's different, right? When you get to know somebody and you come in and you look them in the face and you're like, I know you told me to do this, but I didn't do any of it. So I think meeting once a week in person is really key. But then we also built in different check-ins. So they did have to check in with me before they got their week started. So typically Sunday, Monday morning-ish, so Sunday evening, Monday morning, they would check in with me and they would give me a plan, right? So they would give me a plan, and then one of them did it. It was actually pretty 50-50. One of them did it, one of them did not. the whole time, but we also had them, send a quick message saying stronger when they completed their workouts. So built into the program was multiple levels of accountability that I think really helped them to feel like they had somebody in their corner the whole entire time we were doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So then when Jen and I were talking about doing this again next year, it was really interesting because we are obviously bringing in other healthcare providers at this point in time, one of them being our functional health. Yeah. Oh, I'm super excited for it because, as PTs, we can talk about nutrition very generally. We could talk about water intake very generally, but as far as like supplement safety and how you should grocery shop and how to read a label and those aspects of things, I think they're going to find that this year it's going to be a lot more detailed with Sharice than myself. And I will say, in terms of taking on something like a transformation challenge, it is one of the things that I will say we kind of learned along the way last year was that it is a lot more time consuming than you maybe think it's going to be. And not that that's a bad thing, but when we started, we said 5 people, we ended up getting 2. I'll be honest with you, 2 is perfect for our, our pilot year. And 5 is probably about the maximum that I would recommend, because it's really not something that as a physical therapist, you can just say, okay, here's this set of 15 exercises. You're going to alternate them and do them every other day. And you get the same ones and you get the same ones, which I think makes our transformation challenge as PTs different from, say, like your local gym or your local yoga studio, because 50-50, right? So I had 2 participants. One of them started off knowing that she has a history of knee surgery. She has a history of carpal tunnel. She has a history of neck problems. So for her, I think the program was really appealing because she was like, okay, I'm going to get a professional who's going to coach me through this stuff, who knows about these injuries and isn't going to make it worse. So that's certainly a way to basically, advertise your program or get word out there that, you are a PT. My other participant didn't have anything right out of the gate. Hi. So our second participant didn't have anything going on right out of the gate, but as she started working through the program, she, started getting different aches, different pains, a little flare up of maybe a chronic condition, things that we were right there on the ball, ready to treat and able to work through to keep her on track. So this coming year, it'll still look the same in terms of meeting with me every week. Where the functional health and wellness coaching is going to come in is going to be every other week, because we still want it to be a reasonable time commitment for participants, right? So I would say probably the most objections that we got to doing the program, which I'll kind of segue and talk about now, was cost, because obviously, I mean, yes, we're out of network and we certainly can talk about that, but also no transformation challenge that you would do with anybody really is going to be covered by insurance or anything like that. So it's a cost. Yeah, it's an investment up front. And then the second thing was time. So, do I have time to meet somebody once a week? Do I have the availability before or after work? And I think that was actually more of a driving factor. So this coming year, we want to obviously incorporate more healthcare providers, but also, be cognizant of their level of commitment. So, we've been talking about it. We've also been discussing that on the weeks they are meeting with our functional health and wellness coaching, maybe staggering those so that they're meeting with me the same day and they don't have to necessarily come back to the office twice. They would just plan to be here a little bit longer. And then ultimately, the end goal is that you keep them on in some way, shape, or form. For us, that looks like our wellness warriors. So that's a once monthly program. I'm sure Jen's talked about it before, but I think this coming year, our plan is to offer, we have a personal trainer who's here, and our plan is to offer maybe packaging with her, but also the wellness warriors if you have something that you need a PT for, and then, really get them a few different options so that they aren't falling off track. And I will say, I've noticed, so both of my transformation challengers did become wellness warriors with me. And even though they've definitely fallen off from where they were, I think that if they had not been meeting with me once a month, it would have been substantial. Like they probably would have started from scratch. So they've been doing really good. And honestly, it was a very enjoyable program. They both had two totally different sets of goals. So that's where definitely like the time management piece comes in and the planning piece comes in. We did ours
What
all
were
just
their goals?
Yeah, so I had one individual whose goal was to get back to running, and she wanted to run a 10-miler. So she basically was an on and off 5Ker. And she was like, you know what, I haven't worked out in a really long time, but she also just like didn't feel too great about herself. You know, her clothes were fitting too tight, and she was noticing that it was, you know, more stressful and harder to get up and get out of bed and keep a routine and things like that. She was my individual who also did not have any necessarily like conditions that she was coming in with. And then my other individual who did have, you know, the history of knee surgery, of neck pain, of carpal tunnel, she was just like, I know I have to do something because I have all these other things for more longevity. And again, she did have some weight loss goals and, you know, just wanting to feel healthier. So both of them, we definitely tailored their program to what it was that they were trying to hit. Like, you know, so patient Jane, who did not care not a lick about running, she didn't run not a day in the program. My 10-miler, she had running starting from week 1 and building up. So you definitely want to make it personalized. You want them to feel like it's catered to them. And I think we, you know, achieved that pretty well.
Raven, can you tell them a little bit about what we decided in terms of the length of each visit, what that would be, and then how it incorporated, like what the time they were with you consisted of, and then also the program that we used for their home exercise instruction?
Oh yeah, definitely. So the home exercise instruction is probably easier to discuss right out of the gate. So we use a program called MedBridge. I like MedBridge. I've used other programs in the past, like HEP to go, but MedBridge at least gives them not just the written instructions and the picture, but it provides a video as well. I will say I only ran into maybe 1 or 2 exercises that were not on there, but with ample instruction, they were able to complete them just fine. So what that looked like was basically, you know, we changed the program a little bit from week to week, but the major changes were coming at those benchmarks. So at 4 weeks, at 8 weeks, at 12 weeks was when I actually flipped their MedBridge pretty much completely and started progressing everything. And I found that that was a good timeline because that was about the time when they were like, okay, yeah, this is starting to feel a little bit easy. And they were just ready for the next challenge. So they did end up ultimately with 3 different MedBridge access codes. We had no issues with them. They also got a printed version in a binder at the end of the transformation challenge. So they have this nice little binder that tracked all of their wins, their water intake, their initial basically measurements, which we did chest, hips, thighs, arms. So all of the big areas. And then we also did a weights as well as some subjective goals, like how the clothes fit. So they got all of that, like basically packaged and ready to go. And then week to week, what it looked like. So they both looked a little bit different. The visits were about 45 minutes for them. I would say we rarely ever ended early because there was just so much to talk about and exercises and techniques and things to go over with them. But for my individual who kind of started out of the gate having some medical conditions, having some orthopedic complaints and things like that, the first 15 minutes of her sessions were actually treating those. So that's where the PT side of things came in. And I found that she was progressing quite well because she was getting treatment in conjunction with doing some of these exercises. And then her complaints, you know, they stopped being things like oh, my carpal tunnel is really flared up, and more like I'm just sore, post-workout soreness, the DOMS, things like that. With my other participant, she did have things come up, kind of intermittently, but really her 45 minutes was reviewing water intake, talking about how she felt after her runs. She has a lot of like mental barriers. So a lot of that was stress techniques. I don't know if any of you use Metagenics. We use Metagenics here. So we did a stress survey for her and covered some different stress supplements and breath work. But there were definitely times, probably, I would say like 7 to 8 of the 12 visits also included that 15-minute time block to treat some aches and pains that came up for her. So really the 45 minutes is, honestly, it's really nice because it's whatever they want to cover, and then maybe you have some things that you need to go over with them, some techniques. Like there was multiple times where they were like, this feels weird, this exercise doesn't feel like I'm doing it right, and we would go over it because we had that time built in where I could say, show me this, show me that, tweak their technique, and then they were able to do it a lot better.
I would say one of the things, just to back up a little bit, we talked briefly at the beginning about how building the relationship was important, kind of breadcrumbing the information out to them. Much like the sales call that you don't want to feel salesy, this process, it did require sort of slowing down the conversation and getting them to talk about why they needed this. Like just with anybody that's gonna either come to physical therapy and pay out of pocket for it or invest in themselves with a New Year's resolution type thing, it was important for them and buying into it for us to take time to go deep enough to be like, why do you need to do this? And one of the documents that we shared, we would go over with them. It was sort of like a commitment to themselves, right? Like they had to sign a commitment to themselves for this challenge that they were going to show up for themselves. So that was, I think, another piece that was helpful. So
I love that.
Definitely.
Awesome. Did you already talk about the price, if it was the same price or not as your regular PT?
We did.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, so this past year, it did differ, but with us leveling up the program for this coming year, we still haven't, that's still a work in progress.
What if I think about it though, Raven, 45-minute session would have been about 141, right?
True.
So I would have to look at it and see. Hold on. What was it? Sorry, I took you guys off the screen for a second. So it was $1,653 if they paid in full. The payment plan of about 145. So 145 a session really isn't that much of a discount, right? If you consider that 181 is our hour rate. So, but we are talking about the price structure right now. We basically, at this point, it's gonna be our hourly rate as far as we can tell. And then we're working with the certified health coach and the trainer to figure out what their pricing point would be. And then we'll add some kind of a discount and divide it out. So.
I will say, I do think having them pay upfront did help with some of their accountability. So kind of like what Jen was just talking about, they are investing that $1,650. I think you just said $1,650 upfront. So if not just the factor of going through with them and talking about why do you need to be here, there is also that financial commitment piece where it's like, if you don't show up or you miss a week, yeah, we can push it a little bit, but ultimately it's on them to come. And I do feel like that was an initial driving factor, that kind of feeling. And I've done it too in the past of, well, I paid for this, I need to use it. And then toward the middle end, it transformed into, no, I'm getting results and I feel great about myself. So now I'm going to keep coming because of that. But definitely getting them to understand why it is they're ready to commit to something like this it's pretty critical. And everybody's reasons are all different, but having that initial conversation and having them feel heard, and I think having it be a one-on-one session was really good for all of the participants.
The other thing that I just remembered, Raven, is that during the process of sort of the discovery phone call, we had one woman who was a clear price objection, but she had some specific knee pain complaints. So she actually came in and did a physical therapy session with Raven. I think she came once or twice, maybe just once. But so even if the initial, like, they decided it wasn't for them, we attempted to sell some physical therapy if they were having something that we thought we could help them with for that. So
yeah, I want to say she came for about 2 sessions. We did the evaluation and then we had one follow-up with her. So yeah, that's a good point to make. And I do just want to backtrack real quick too. So if you're looking at your personal time commitment as somebody running the program, I would say realistically what you could think about session to session is that, day of, when you're meeting with your transformation challengers, you can really break it down. You'll have about 10 to 15 minutes where you're covering how the past week went, how their exercises and water and nutrition went. You'll have about 15 minutes to go over the next week with them. So the progressions, the goals, their techniques, and then about 15 minutes to really cover anything that they need, soft tissue work, specific pains and aches, like we said. But then after that, the follow-up, obviously you're going to want to update their MedBridge, because for me, most of my clients or most of my transformation challengers were very cyclical. Like they would come on the same day of the week because that was the day that they chose. That was the end of week 1, the end of week 2. So you have to turn right around and update their program and get it ready for them to go. I initially was like, okay, I think I can do this ahead of time, but realistically you need to do it after you meet with them, or at least I found that I needed to do it after I met with them, because of the fact that they may say, I had a lot of trouble with this motion or that motion, or maybe something was too easy. So you want to make sure you're not investing all of this time, trying to basically pre-prepare things and then getting thrown way off track. So there was a few times as well where we had those built-in check-ins where they would email me their plan for the week, or they would email that they completed their workout. But there was a couple times too throughout the 12 weeks where I had noticed, maybe they're not as actively participating, and I wanted to kind of touch base with them. So I gave them a couple of extra check-ins where I reached out via email or phone and things like that. So there's definitely going to be extraneous time things that come up within the program. But I would say probably average in, like if I had to put a ballpark on it, so we had 2 participants, 45 minutes a week, plus making their programs and the email check-ins, you could probably plan for about 3-ish hours per week if you have 2 participants with their actual visits, plus everything that you're supplying and providing for them on a weekly basis.
Raven, did you do paper charts for them, or did you do your documentation in our G Drive? So
they're all paper, which was super easy to give them at the end, because like I had talked about, so they actually got a really nice binder at the end of the program with everything that we did. So it included all of their water, all of their food, all of their workouts in printed version. They got hard copies of any of the logs that I had given them. So their workout logs, their nutrition trackers. They also got any supplements that we recommended through Metagenics. They got a copy of the information packets on those. They got copies of their stress surveys. And then we have the hard copy as well. I think it'll be easier since we use Google to go in and just kind of make like one general jot sheet with the the quick of it, so like, hey, this person lost 15 pounds and 12 inches, just at a quick glance. But I do think from week to week to week, having just the paper documentation was perfectly fine.
So even your documentation, your SOAP note?
Mhm.
You didn't do a G Drive SOAP note? I thought you did.
Mm-mm.
It's
Nope,
all
we have
paper folders.
we had just little like handouts. Yeah, we decided
Oh,
to
you
do it
did
all
each
on
week.
paper.
So,
I mean, I definitely think going forward, it's not a bad idea to have it on G Drive. We definitely could, but
so that's the scoop. Does anybody else have any questions for how we rolled it out or what it looked like?
First, so you started out with your, hey, we're looking for 5 people who want to, change their lives or blah, 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 health and fitness goals. And then like what were the series of emails that followed? Was there a lot of emails that followed before you had your first phone conversation, or was it just like it depends, right? I get it. Some people might call right away, but
So if you go into the group, I shared the, I think it's called the swipe file or whatever. It really, I think it was 3. And it's Aaron's, Bob's,
I thought so. Yeah. I remember he had one, but I just
yeah,
never
like,
really.
hey, we're looking for 12 people, and then respond back stronger if you're interested. And then the second email was like, great, awesome. What are 3 goals that you'd like us to help
Mhm.
you with? And then when they responded with their 3 goals, then we said, what would be a good time for you to come in? I think at that point, once we had their goals and
Yeah.
before,
Then you had to take them off an automation.
I don't think I automated. I think this was all just back and forth. The first one went out as a blast, but then everything else was only if they interacted and messaged back. But before, well, at the point of, tell us when you're available.
Mhm.
So 3 emails total, basically, then they got a phone call to set that up.
Okay.
So that's what that looked like.
It's well, awesome. It sounds exciting that you guys have the nutritionist and the, like all the other stuff this year. Like I want to sign up.
It should be
Yeah,
more
definitely.
valuable because Ohio is a red state for nutrition, which is what she was saying, which means we cannot really talk about food, at all unless you're a registered dietitian. In Ohio, you had to be a registered dietitian to talk about nutrition with your people. So Raven did a
That's
good job
crazy.
just basically talking about, eating a well-balanced diet and drinking water, but she couldn't dive more deeply than that. So the health coach can, again, with just a little bit more gray lines, talk about eating an anti-inflammatory diet or a Mediterranean diet, or like can give
Yeah.
a little bit more details. And they'll be able to talk about stress and sleep and hormones and, the whole lifestyle stuff that Raven did a really good job with. This should make it much more, valuable. Anything else?
I'm looking in the group for that, the emails. I don't see that. I do see that you shared with us like the forms that you used with them, which is awesome. Thank you
That's the
so
right- That's
much.
the right post, Kaylee.
Oh,
There was,
the emails are in that.
well, I think it's called the swipe file or something. There's 2 documents. One is like basically what the program looked like for us, and the second one is his emails and on our social media post.
Yeah, I'll say newest activity. Did you post it today?
First thing this morning.
This morning? Oh, okay.
Maybe just search under her name or something.
Transformation challenge.
Yeah, I just see the Google Doc, printable
There's
12 week.
There's two things to click on there.
Okay, gotcha. 2 links there. Yep, thank you. I was looking for 2 separate posts. Thank you. Awesome. So I have a question. It's like more soft than hard, like, just how do you feel about it? Raven, as like, cause you're a PT, right?
Yep.
How does it feel to do this kind of work versus regular PT? Was it more rewarding, less rewarding? frustrating, like worth the extra effort. And Jen, you can plug your ears so she can be honest.
Actually, I think Jen probably could even answer this for me because honestly, I don't think I stopped talking about it for probably like a good few months. But so both of my transformation challengers continued on with me. They're now wellness warriors. So I feel like I know them definitely on like a personal level because they've been with me since I actually started at Fit for Life in January, which is super exciting. But having such a heavy like sport and strength training and exercise background. I mean, that's what I did in undergrad. I personally loved it. It's right in my wheelhouse. Before I came here, I was doing a lot of workers' comp, which has its own, nuances and stuff to it. But I love I love being out of network because you have individuals who truly want to be here just in general, which is different from workers' comp in right out of the gate. But then to have people who care so much about their own personal health and getting to hear their stories and seeing how much they actually were affected by it was well worth the extra time spent doing it. I think it's on our Facebook. So I don't have it like right out of the gate, but I can probably tell you one of our challengers lost, I think it was like 2.5 inches off her waist. She lost like an inch on both thighs, an inch on both arms. Like she just did fantastic with it. And you could see in pictures from when she started, because she has them on her social media, her Facebook and stuff, but you could see the difference in just her attitude, her outward demeanor, and how healthy she felt and how much better she felt. And our other challenger met all of her goals as well. And same kind of thing. You could see how much better she was handling her day-to-day stress, her work stress. So I love all of that. It's really rewarding. It's a real feel-good moment. So I would say if you're on the fence about doing it, I think it's definitely worth it.
I would
Cool.
say Raven did better than I would. I don't know that because of her strong sports background with the exercise piece, you do have to have like a strength and a passion for that. She did better with it than I would have done myself. You do have to kind of want to do that stuff. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think one thing that I worry about is for myself is just not knowing where that line is. I mean, it's good to know you need to do some research on like your state laws as far as what you can talk about or not. We have nutritionists and dietitians here. And I think it's so easy to become a nutritionist. I don't think we have the same thing as Ohio, but like personally, I've had my own struggles with diet culture, and I think sending out an email that's like, hey, who wants to lose weight? I'm going to help you do it. I don't know. I just struggle with like that feeling as meaningful as just be active, be healthy, love your body, but that's what we all want, but it doesn't sell as easily as losing inches off your waist. I don't know. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, or like how you could sort of
I feel like
this challenge, but have it be less about just weight loss?
So I feel like when it was initially brought forth, like on our social media and in the email chains, I think it was always phrased as a transformation challenge. Are you looking to make a difference in this new year, become stronger, what fitness goals do you want to achieve? And really, when we did our discovery sessions with these two particular individuals, that was weight loss for them was one of their goals. So I really only ever worked with what they gave me. So we talked about it kind of toward the beginning of this, but another one of her goals was running a 10 miler. So it's definitely more weight loss. One of our participants just said, I just want to feel better. I want more longevity. But I do feel like when we were first advertising it, it was definitely multifaceted. It was, do you want to feel better in the new year? Feel stronger, things like that.
Yeah. The emails that if you did verbatim from Aaron, he's like, just lose weight, get fit, and keep it off for good. But we could change that terminology
I
and
think I did, Kaylee. I think
yeah.
I
What
did.
did you change it to? Do you like, I'm just curious about wording. What could we could brainstorm right now what it could be. It could be like feel good or like, yeah, what
I know stronger was definitely a big theme,
I
you
like
know.
stronger. Yeah.
Do you want to
Or
get
like, do you have a fitness
stronger?
goal you want to reach in the new year?
Mhm.
Just a fitness goal.
I wonder if, talk amongst yourselves. I'll see if I
Feeling
can find.
stronger, feeling stronger, running farther, climbing a mountain,
Exactly.
sleeping better, dealing with
I
your
think
stress better.
at some point, I feel like we talked about building a routine. Are you looking for, I know accountability was another, you know, are you looking for accountability? So those, the stronger the accountability, those I can speak to for sure, were big highlights to the program. I have our
Let's see if I,
folder pulled up here.
I'm looking, I think in the folder, I just have like Aaron's copy. I'm gonna check my email automation real quick and see if I can find the email. I know I can, I just have to scroll back on my Facebook to find the post, but that's gonna take me a minute. So let me just see if I can find the campaign for that. And if, and I can always put it in the group too.
But yeah, it's, you know, to your point, even now with them being wellness warriors, they definitely are not talking about, oh, I put 2 pounds back on and it has me completely derailed. It's actually the big takeaway I would say for both of them has been, you know, I just don't feel as good when I don't do X, Y, and Z. Like they feel mentally better about themselves. So let's see.
I found the campaign.
The
Yeah.
one that you posted, Jen, talks about addressing your overall health and wellness. It's a collaborative effort, personalized attention.
Good. Did you find
Those
it?
are all. This is the one for this year.
Okay, so
Health and fit.
I found it. Have your health and fitness goals been derailed by injury? Mine sure have. We have 3 spots left for our 12-week transformation challenge. Don't let injuries stop you this time. Work one-on-one with our team of movement coaches and physical therapists who will craft a plan to keep you healthy and strong this year. Comment strong below. I did a video. Yeah. Yep. And then
Good.
yeah, so it was accountability. We did not advertise it as a weight loss. The email said we are looking for just 5 people to work with one-on-one in our office for a 12-week transformation challenge. You'll get a customized plan from our movement coach and physical therapist designed to help you get fit, get stronger, and get back to the activities you love, even if you have prior injuries or nagging pain. Reply with the word stronger. Yeah. So that was the verbiage that we used. That helps, huh?
Get fit, get stronger, and what?
Get
Designed to help you
stronger
get
and get
fit,
back
get
to the
stronger.
activities you love, even if you have
love it.
prior injuries or nagging pain.
Okay. And then if they got in there and they did have like, yeah, an actual orthopedic injury they needed to move through, then you'd be like, okay, first you need to do the physical therapy. Once we get you discharged from physical therapy, then you can join some sort of wellness warrior or transformation, or would you let someone with an injury be in the transformation challenge?
So I actually worked with whatever I had. So we built in about 15 to 20, sometimes longer, I will say, 15 to 20 minutes of treatment time into that visit. So that is what I do think sets us apart as physical therapists hosting a transformation challenge, because that's really the way I thought about it, was PT first,
Yeah.
challenge as a big bonus. So as we're hosting this, you know, that is, these people are a lot of the times with chronic conditions. So things that maybe like arthritis or carpal tunnel that aren't necessarily going to go away completely, but they still don't want to be totally off of the train trying to exercise and not knowing where to be. So I just met them where they were. You know, carpal tunnel, neck pain, prior knee surgery. Those were all things that we dealt with, some shoulder blade pain. I will say it's not like I had somebody who was like, hey, I had surgery 4 weeks ago and now I want to do this transformation challenge. So that would probably be a different story. But in terms of this previous year, it was all stuff that we could work through.
So helpful.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was really awesome. Raven, you're awesome. We hear so many great things about you.
That's all Jen.
Well, Jen has created an amazing team, and you know, who wouldn't want to work with her? So that's awesome. I gotta run, but I really, really appreciate it, you guys. You guys have a great week,
Sounds good.
and keep us posted. Prayers.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right, anybody else have anything? Raven does have a patient at 1.
Cindy, anything
I missed
new
a
or
little bit at the beginning, sorry. I heard
It's
the word
recorded.
mechanics.
I recorded it, so I'll put it in the group.
Yeah. So I went and looked a little bit on that website, and I mean, I understand that it's supplements, but do you do testing and everything through there too, or is that all?
You're talking about Metagenics?
Yeah.
So I have a professional
Okay.
account with them or whatever. So it's just,
Okay.
it's strictly, it's the supplements that we use. I get a discount if I order them,
Got it.
whatever. And so it's a supplement line that we share with our patients if they want to buy a readily available available sort of good quality supplement.
Right.
That's what this
Okay. Okay.
anybody can get
There
it.
are
Mhm.
Well, there are different protocols and surveys and things that you can have your patients do to guide your decision making when trying to select something, especially like the stress supplement line.
Yeah.
I always did the stress survey with them first to see what category they would even fall into.
Yeah. That's cool. I like the contract at the beginning. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not willing to sign that, then they're probably not invested, you know?
They're gonna let
Definitely.
themselves, right? That's what it's with themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, I'll put the recording up in the group, and I think that's it. Raven, thank you very much. I'll see you a little later.
Yeah.
Have
Thank
a
you
good
guys. Good to
week.
see you all.
Nice
Thanks.
to meet you.
Have a good week.
You too.
See you next week.
Thanks.